on my forehead, just diluted a bit of the lavender and put it on, and that bump disappeared. It's crazy. I showed it to my family. Like, look at that mosquito bite, and put it on. And then I showed it to them again after I put the lavender on. I think it must have been about a minute and a half, and it had gone down. So they were like, everyone's got a bit of, they've taken a lavender roll on from me. Just keep it in the pocket. It's amazing.
It is. TerraShield is one of my favorite ones. Like, sometimes I would say less is more because the aroma can be strong, but it works like amazingly with all the mosquitoes and just making sure that, and I would say, like, if you're putting it on yourself, just even like a drop on your ankles and maybe behind your neck or on your wrists, and then you're set pretty much for the whole evening.
And the other thing I liked about TerraShield is my legs really relax when I use it. I'm not sure why or what's in it that's causing them to do that. But when I put it on my calves, it's like the deep blue. They just relax. And I'm like, I like this one. The only challenge I have with it is it's a bit thick to come out of the bottle. So, and I get anxious, so I just pull the top off and I just take it out in my hands and put it on. But
yeah, you can even make it into like a spray bottle and spray it onto your curtain. So like just adding maybe like 10 or 20 drops into like 100 ml spray bottle, add it with water, and then just spray that onto like curtains or near the windows and stuff as well too, or near the doorways, and it's a really good as well that way.
Thanks. I'm going to try that. I love this one. It's amazing. Thank you.
All right. If anyone has questions, Dilshad, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just, I don't know anything about this group. So obviously I have a lot of questions, but that will be terribly boring for everyone else. So let me just listen, and then I can ask.
Yeah, go ahead and ask anytime. So I'll give you a quick overview. So we basically do these calls where we discuss essential oils. The brand that we're partnering with is doTERRA, where they're the purest essential oils in the world. So there's no adulteration, no chemicals, no fillers. And basically a lot of the essential oils that come are neat, so that they need to be diluted. And that's where less is more. So using 1 or 2 drops at a time for essential oils. And that's where you can use them for stomach discomfort, bloating, gas. You can use it for stress, for sleep. There's so many different options that you can use each of these essential oils for, basically anything and everything that you can think of. And that's kind of where we do these Q&A sessions. So that way, if someone has any ailments, or if someone is going through something, then they can always ask a question and receive like a quick response to say, okay, these are oils that I would probably recommend for you, as I'm a clinical aromatherapist. So this is a part of my work as well too, that I go through, where being able to support others to understand how they can use essential oils quickly as well as powerfully. Because when we talk about allopathy, it's then going to the doctors, making those decisions to see, okay, do we want to be disturbing our gut microbiomes? Do we want to be having all of the other side effects that typically go alongside with allopathy? Or is there something that we have from Mother Nature that can support us, and support us as quickly and as effectively? And that's kind of where, that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing, is that a lot of people are now starting to shift towards Mother Nature and being able to have those resources at their fingertips. And that's where listening to your body, understanding what is beneficial for you, is something that's going to be key. Because when we talk about the essential oils, it's not just about using them topically. There's also differences where we look at using them for emotional support. Because when we talk about things that are coming out as physical ailments, usually it's deeper down, either trauma that has occurred, or there's some emotional disturbances. And that's where, whenever you're connecting with whoever has introduced you to the oils, they will typically ask you a lot of questions to kind of understand how these essential oils can support you best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to get to the bottom of it to be able to resolve it in some way. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, that's a pretty good overview.
And that's kind of where we try to do these Q&A calls at least a couple times a month. So that way people can just kind of hop on if they have questions about oils that they have, or if they have any questions for friends or family or anyone else, they can just kind of hop on and do that. And if it's something that's more in-depth, that requires more in-depth, Max is there, Malika is there for in-person consultations, as well as I do consultations over Zoom that can also be booked for private consultations for friends or family or anyone else as well too.
Yes.
So that's kind of where
Okay.
this is more a quick overview, I guess, Q&A. And then if anyone is wanting anything more in-depth, they can always book an appointment with either of us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Judy, Mohan, Vicky, Rupa, any questions from your side?
Yes, Zarine, I had one. Lately, two people around me had constipation and I gave them digestion, but it didn't work.
Okay. So I would say, see if there's something that has changed in their diet that has created the constipation. Otherwise, even just a drop of the lemon essential oil in warm water works well in the morning. For digestion, how were they taking it? Were they applying it topically or they were adding it to their water?
I was adding them to their water.
Okay, so what I would also do is I would try having them apply it topically. And when they do a massage, ask them to massage it counterclockwise to kind of help the bowel movements go. So that's kind of where, depending on whether they're constipated or whether it's diarrhea, follow the direction that they need to move to just kind of help the bowel movements kind of get moving and kind of warmed up. So I would say have them apply it topically and just rotate in a clockwise direction if they're feeling constipated.
So constipated is clockwise.
Yeah.
And if there is diarrhea, then it is
And if then it's
anti-clockwise.
counterclockwise. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And then what I would do is I would have them just gentle pressure. So just starting like at the top, just underneath like their right breast, going across down towards like the belly button, and just kind of gentle pressure with the essential oil. And I would just dilute it with either some coconut oil or some castor oil and just do a gentle massage with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Zarine?
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. I just needed to know if I can use Deep Blue along with Aroma Touch together.
Yes, you can, because both of them
Okay.
have different impacts. So yes, you can combine. And I would say whatever you're using, like if you're using the Deep Blue rub, then you can add a couple drops of the Aroma Touch into the rub and apply that, or you can do 50-50 if you're using both of them as the oils.
Okay.
Do you suggest anything for swelling after surgery?
Yeah, so what I would probably recommend is pink pepper is probably one of the best ones. Depending on what the surgery was, I would probably say either Aroma Touch, because Aroma Touch also has grapefruit in it. Otherwise, if you have just grapefruit by itself, that would be a good one as well to apply to help with water retention and removing any of that. And I would recommend also drinking lots of fluids. You can either add in a drop of the lemon or grapefruit into the water as well, and that will also help flush out the excess water retention faster.
It's a knee surgery.
Yeah, so what I would do then is for the knee, then for swelling, I would probably do, you can do grapefruit for any of the swelling, and I would do that on the bottom of the feet. And then from there on top of the knee, I would probably recommend, depending on if the wound has completely closed or where the wound is or where the cut might be, around that area, not directly onto the cut, I would probably do either like a lemongrass or a turmeric, and then I would top it with either frankincense or peppermint to help it penetrate deeper and further into the skin.
Okay.
Yeah, so turmeric would be a great one for like anti-inflammatory.
I don't have turmeric currently.
Okay, which ones do you have right now?
The peppermint I have.
Okay.
Frankincense I have.
Okay, and then do you have Aroma Touch?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then I would probably either do Deep Blue or Aroma Touch first, and then wait about 5 minutes, and then add on the peppermint or the frankincense on top of that afterwards.
Okay. Neat or with FCO?
With FCO. Yeah. Yeah, all of them will be with FCO.
Oh.
I found it, Mama. And this is the sparkliest one. Precious and sparkliest one.
Any other questions?
Didn't I get a follow with my hand?
These days, we are seeing so many cases of dementia,
Yeah.
and most of it is with aged people, and many a times we don't see anything around to find out whether it's emotionally related or not, or is it just because it's age related. So how do you tackle that?
So a couple of things with dementia. There's a blend called In Tune. That is one that I would typically recommend for anyone that has dementia to help with some of the focus, and then also to help with some of the changes. So I would probably do In Tune would be good. And then also to kind of help with some of the moods sometimes, because sometimes they might, a lot of the things is when people are facing dementia, there's a lot of changes emotionally that they're going through because their life is changing. So I would probably recommend either Adaptive or even Serenity, to kind of help them be able to adapt and adjust to the changes that they might be facing. And then In Tune will help with kind of the focus, will help with some of the neurological side as well too, to be able to help support that connection that they might be looking for as well too. So those would probably be the main ones that I would recommend. And then just maybe sitting down and understanding with them to see what struggles they're facing. Because usually the biggest thing is their life has changed. That's one of the biggest things that they're facing. And that's where Adaptive is a really good one to help them be able to adjust to that change. If it is more focus related, if it's more related based off of like the cognitive function, then I would probably do like a rosemary with frankincense. And that's where I would be able to understand that they can be able to support themselves to help them understand a little bit more and remember a little bit more. So if it's a lot of forgetfulness that they're facing, rosemary is a great one that they can use. And then I would also recommend DDR Prime. So DDR Prime stands for damaged DNA recovery. So in general, even before someone might be diagnosed with any of the elderly diseases, that's kind of where DDR Prime is a good one for them to be integrating into their lifestyle, to kind of help support the memory function, help cellular rejuvenation. DDR Prime and frankincense are probably two of the main ones that I would probably recommend anyone over 50 should kind of start integrating that into their lifestyle. And that would be just adding a drop into warm water, or just even adding a drop onto the palm of the hand and then putting it on the roof of the mouth. So that way it's able to be absorbed directly through like the blood-brain barrier that way.
So frankincense, okay, we can take it internally and maybe apply on head and the temples. What about Adaptive? How do you use
Adaptive?
that?
So Adaptive, it either comes as a neat bottle, or it comes as a roller bottle as well too. So I would recommend for a lot of the seniors, for ease of use, the roller bottle is nice, where it's already pre-diluted, and they'll basically apply it again, temples, base of neck. They can apply it on their crown as well too, and wrist points.
No need on the soles.
No, I would say for most of this, for them initially, having it close to the brain, having them be able to smell the aroma would be ideal for them.
I have the Adaptive bottle, so maybe I can make a roller bottle and give.
Yes, exactly. So if you're making a roller bottle, then I would probably do 20 to 30 drops of the essential oil in a 10 ml bottle, and then add in the rest with fractionated coconut oil.
Okay.
Mom, there's glass inside of his mouth. Yes, it was funny.
Are the kids driving you crazy?
No, we're just sitting out in the park. They're having their lunch before I drop them off for swimming. So they're all enjoying
So
the
I've got a question.
nature.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's lovely weather there. That's looking really gorgeous behind you as well. So I've got a little question about cooking with the essential oils.
Yeah.
So I've got a little question about cooking with the essential oils. Is it better to just add them to the food once it's done? Or is it okay to expose them to heat while cooking?
So either or. So it depends on what you're using them for. For example, like if we're doing like peppermint brownies or something, you're adding it into it and then it's being baked. So when you are using an essential oil and it's exposed to heat, so like if you're baking it or if you're putting it into a dessert or into like a baked dish or something, that's where you're going to be losing about 50% of the efficacy for like the therapeutic benefits of it. So you're still going to be getting like the flavor profiles, but you're going to be losing about 50% of the therapeutic benefit, where you'll still be having some, but with the heat exposure, that's generally where you do lose it. So for example, if you are doing like a pasta sauce, or if you're doing something like a dessert that you can add the oils in afterwards, or once something has cooled down, then I would recommend doing it at that point in time. But otherwise, if it's something that you need to add it in, throw the dish and taste it and stuff, that's also perfectly fine. And just noting that some of the therapeutic benefits might be a little bit less.
Thank you.
No problem. And that's when one thing to remember is like, even though with that, using essential oil over an herb is you're getting 50 to 70 times more benefit of using an essential oil versus an herb. So that's kind of where it is still as potent and it does like pack a punch in. So for example, adding in turmeric, you can add in turmeric afterwards into the dishes. You can add oregano, thyme, all of these other ones, rosemary into like potatoes. There are so many different options that you can look at. And if any of you guys are looking for recipes or how to integrate some of these into maybe smoothies or juices, we have like a ton of recipes. So feel free to reach out to whoever has enrolled you or put onto our WhatsApp group in the chat if you're looking for like a recipe for something or how to use some of them in your food. Just put a question in there and then we'll share more details on that.
But
Awesome.
if you
Yeah,
do
I was
that,
using them.
no
Hi to the kids. I was using them at Happiness, just neat on top of the food. And for
Yeah.
this very reason, I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to bake with them. So I just never ended up baking with them. So I was curious about what
really
happens
nice.
if
Like,
yeah,
baking with them is like really nice. And that's where it's usually not as, so for example, if you put in, I would still start with like less. For some of the citrus ones, there are going to be more, you're going to want to add in a little bit more oil into it because it will evaporate more. But for like mints, for turmeric, for cardamom, I would say, I would say just using a little bit less, so that way it's not as potent, and then just kind of playing with it to see how much you want to add into them.
Thank you. So I've got another question now that I saw the kids. How young were your kids when you first started using the EOs for them?
So I was using them for my son when I was pregnant with him. And I would say I used On Guard diluted probably first, like I was using them during delivery. But then also I would say after about 6 weeks is probably when I started using them more so, because that was probably the first time my son had been exposed to other germs and stuff. But otherwise, I always recommend, if like the mother is breastfeeding or for as soon as the baby is born, try to have as much bond between the mother and the baby as much as possible, so that the mother's aroma gets attached to the baby first. And then I would recommend probably integrating, if you're going to do massages and stuff for the baby, wait a couple months. So like usually after the 6 weeks, wait until then. And then once the baby has identified mother's aroma, they're able to then have other aromas introduced to them without detaching that bond, I guess I would say. But otherwise, like as needed, like for example, if the baby's having like colic, or if the baby is having digestive issues, or is having like a sniffly nose, what I would recommend is either bottom of the feet, on the back of the spine, or even on like the mama's chest, and then just kind of holding the baby close to the chest for them to be able to breathe it in and get that aroma from them. Any other questions?
No, I was just messaging a mum also who's who's going to be a grandmom soon.
Oh, nice.
And she's got some of the EOs for one of her daughters who's already got her baby, and the second one's having her first child. And the first one, I mean, they have sleepless nights. Mom's not getting sleep, baby's not getting sleep. So I said, okay, let's get lavender and Roman chamomile and just diffuse it for now.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they're all resting really well with that. But then she asked me, like, can I start using it on the baby's body? And I said, I believe you can, but it's got to be highly diluted. Just don't use it like you would for us. But I thought to check with you how old your kids were first, when you first started applying them topically on the kid's body.
Bottom of the feet, like after they've had a shower, just like a little baby massage. Babies like love their feet being massaged and stuff. So just even bottom of the feet, and then have them zipped up so that way the feet aren't in the mouth afterwards would be a great option.
I love my feet being massaged. I think anyone loves it. And Siberian fur is amazing for a foot massage. I don't know what it's doing to the body.
Yeah, so anything that has to do with pines or anything that has to do with like coniferous trees are very good for the bones as well too. So this is also like, this is a great one for the elderly as well too. I would say after the age of 40, as we start hitting perimenopause, as we start hitting menopause, and we start having bone degeneration, Siberian fir, any of the firs, pines, those are all really good ones for bones. And that's kind of where even for hip fractures and hip repairs, or even like after knee surgeries, this is a great one to be using. Any of the firs, I would say, are highly recommended.
Thank you. I did not know that. I'm going to share that with a couple of people and a friend who's had multiple fractures in the last 6 months. And we'll get her on Siberian fir. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's like, if they're going for regular massages, just take your bottle with you, ask them to add in like 5 or 6 drops into the massage oil, and she'll start noticing definite benefits.
Zarine, so when someone comes in for a massage, I mean, there's a guy who I've asked to come in to give my father a massage, for example. I'm going to use the doTERRA EOS diluted. For my father, and you know him, which one do you think would be good for? It's going to be in the morning. So which one would you think would be a good one to give him to apply? And how much would I dilute it?
So in about, I would say, usually they use about half a cup of a carrier oil. So for him, I would probably do like even Serenity to just for him, like either Balance or Serenity to kind of start the day off right, and just to kind of have that grounded and ease feeling, I would say, throughout the day.
Okay, so you wouldn't recommend an aroma touch to be diluted and applied on him?
I would say for your dad, I think having something grounded or something more relaxing to set his day off might be a little bit nicer. Aroma touch is also really nice. So aroma touch could be a good option. Serenity, Balance, I would say. Have him pick and choose, like have like 3 options ready for him, and then say, you guys can run around in the garden here. Go run around the trees. Go run around. Have them pick and choose like what aroma he's feeling that morning. So I would say give him like an option of 3 different ones, and then see what he's feeling that day. And then I would say in about half a cup, I would say 5 to 7 drops of the essential oil, in about half a cup of the carrier oil.
Cool, thank you. And in his case, he didn't want to have any sticky oil, so I'll be using But is there any other carrier oil that you'd recommend for like a deep massage? This fellow who's coming, he doesn't know the ATT yet. I'm going to be talking to him about it after I see how he manages this treatment. But which other carrier oil could he potentially use with one of our EOs?
I would say jojoba would probably be the next one. So jojoba, that one is the one that I would probably recommend, because that one is the closest to the skin sebum. So when we're talking about like non-greasy, hypoallergenic, has like probably some of the best properties, jojoba is one of the most amazing carrier oils to be using, where It should be light, it should be non-greasy, and it's very adaptable to the skin. So I would say that should probably be like the next one that he tries.
Thank you.
Hi, Zarine. I had a question.
Yeah.
An 8-year-old with severe lemon citrus fruit allergies.
Okay.
And it's either even dry raisins or apricots also. And then with that thick mucus and cough is like whooping cough.
Okay.
And the child is little hyperactive
glass in
also.
your pizza.
So what you would suggest?
So I would probably do like the Intune for the hyperactivity to help
Intune?
with, yeah, Intune is a roller bottle. So have them put it either on the temples, the base of the neck, on the wrist points, as well as bottom of the feet for the child. And that can be used throughout the day on a regular basis to help support them. Then for the cough, I would probably recommend Air X has tangerine in it. So I would say if you have Air X, I would say have them try it because Air X has cardamom in it. And I found with people that have a lot of cough, cardamom is a very gentle essential oil that can be used. Siberian fir is also a great one. And then if lavender is also another great one as well too. So when you're going to be using any of those, I would say start with either one of those where you can either mix like lavender and Siberian fir. If you're not wanting to try the Air X first, lavender and Siberian fir, and have that rubbed across the chest and across the back. So directly behind as well too. And that would be diluted.
Okay, and the mucus is so thick, like it's like really frothy sometimes. So
yeah. So because they're still, since she's only 8 years old, I would say oregano is a very good one for bringing up the mucus and taking out the cough. But I would be very careful where if you're going to give her oregano, I would say add it into like a little spoon of ghee or something. So that way it's not as hot for her. Or even just try applying the oregano on top of the stomach area, over top of the liver and the chest area. And just do that for 2 weeks and then stop.
Okay. With fractionated coconut oil.
With fractionated coconut oil, yes.
Okay. Because I was telling her maybe balance and then followed by breathe. But you are saying Intune and then cardamom, lavender, and Siberian fir.
Yeah, so cardamom isn't available in India yet. So I would just do the Intune, and then on the chest do lavender and Siberian fir.
Okay.
And then you can also integrate oregano. I would say oregano start with on the bottom of the feet. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, I think we're gonna close out the call, Vicky. The recording will be up probably later today or tomorrow, and I'll share it into the group. But thank you all. We'll probably do this again in about a couple weeks. And if there's any other questions, again, in between, feel free, reach out to the person that's introduced you to the oils or put it onto the group and one of us will answer your questions.
Give it to anyone. Just keep it in your hand, okay?
All right. Thank you very much for joining.
Don't give
You're welcome.
big
Thanks.
You can do
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Don't give